Hello and welcome to Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. You know what day it is. It's the Thursday special where Steph Chase, the hot take queen herself, is in the building to discuss all things Wednesday Night Wars. Steph, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Alex. It's been another great Wednesday night of wrestling. Happy Thanksgiving to all our American fans. And I am thankful for AEW this year and NXT.
And somewhat NXT. You're right though. Another great Wednesday of action. I actually sat and watched NXT in full this morning, and it was the most I've enjoyed a non-theme show from NXT in a while. I would say from start to finish, had a lot going on. Although for everything that I've seen of Dynamite, and although I haven't seen it in its entirety, I've seen the most parts. Look like they knocked it out of the park yet again. So
yeah, it's another great week. I mean, if they keep doing this every Wednesday, we're always going to have something to talk about, aren't we?
And I'm going to have to address the elephant in the room. Louis and I, Wrestling Daily, were robbed on Quizzlemania last night.
We let the side down.
Well, I mean, Louis's got a lot to answer for. I'm not going to lie. All right, he's got some questions, some Scott Steiner questions in particular to field.
No, but he's just too young, isn't he? Like, you picked a partner that just he didn't have the experience.
Well, picked is a strong word, Steph. I mean, to be fair, Louis brought a lot to the table. He in the mime round. The guy stepped up. He stepped up his game. We only lost by 3 points. And if we had just got... So they asked what my favourite match ever was, right? Uh-huh. So you've played Mr. and Mrs. before, that kind of thing, right? Where, like, for instance, I'd have to write down what your answer would be and then you show. Yeah. And they asked what my favourite match ever would be. And I thought, well, Louis knows I love The Rock, so I'm going to go with... what do you think I would have said, just based on that?
Rock Hogan.
Oh, that's a really good answer. But I actually wrote Rock Austin 17.
Okay,
and he wrote Rock Austin 15. Oh.
Did he have to? Like, could he not just have written Rock Austin and not?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he shouldn't have been so specific. But
Louis, don't be so specific.
Yeah, that was 5 points right there, and we blew it. So we're gonna. And I'm pretty sure Andy Datsun. And if you're watching this, I don't care. I'm pretty sure you looked in the chat and got the smoking guns. I refuse to believe you plucked that out of thin air. I will contest that till my dying day. Anyway, that was then. This is now. This is the Wrestling Daily. And we thank you so much for joining us once again. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can see Steph Chase's name. You can see her handle at the top. And you can see at the bottom how you can send in the Ultra Chat. So when Steph's in the house, we know you like to get your opinions in and get... And Steph just eats those opinions straight up. So send in your messages to WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2, and whatever the amount, we will read it out on the show. And Steph will give you a warm reception, but more likely a freezing cold hose down. Yeah, exactly that. So guys, make sure you get the Ultra Chats in. As you know, they are near and dear to my heart. And just a bit of business as well. Wrestle2 is, of course, our home here on YouTube. We've been growing lovely the last few weeks, adding hundreds of followers, and that's all down to your lovely work. So thank you so much, and remember to like and turn those notifications on when you get the chance, please. Then you'll never miss us. You'll never have to wonder, how did I not catch Steph scolding another poor man? Before we get into that, let's talk about a little bit of news because this is the Wrestling Daily. Dave Meltzer has been saying that Braun Strowman is still the plan for Drew McIntyre at TLC. The reason he's been suspended, apparently, is to sell, not to sell, but to cover up the knee injury that he supposedly sustained at Survivor Series. They've got a plan B going on, where this triple threat match, Keith Lee, Riddle, and AJ Styles, they could step into the view, or in the next few weeks, Strowman could somehow make it his own. Who knows how that will play out? But what Meltzer says is Strowman was the original direction, and they're kind of having to pivot on the fly because of the injury. It kind of lines up for me, Steph. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, they're just covering all their bases, aren't they? It makes sense to give Strowman that shot because, he is one of their top guys, and he's someone that Drew hasn't had a prolonged feud with. But then, with everything that's going on with Keith Lee and Riddle and AJ, you still got something else there. So it does make sense.
Yeah, I think when you like kayfabe suspend someone, it's either because they're injured and you're looking to write them off for a while, or you've got some kind of mega story brewing in the background. So either or, either Meltzer is a tremendous guesser, or I think actually on this occasion, I think he's right. I'm gonna stick my neck out and give Uncle Dave a bit of green, which sounds like I'm his drug dealer, but I am not. And let's see then. I know we've got an Ultra Chat before we get on to the Wednesday Night War review, and I suppose we should get to that because everyone complains when we don't, Steph, and we get knee deep in the Wednesday Night War. So to start us off tonight, it is Matthew Mccoskey. Hey man, you've worked your way up to Egg Benedict status. Hello, good eggs. I was thinking ahead of Mania last night. If Roman can get Rock, I came up with a perfect opponent for Drew. The rumor is Braun. I know you saw this for TLC. Rumble, I would say we get Sheamus. And for Mania, the best choice is AJ. Yes, Matthew, thank you very much for your chat to kick us off tonight, my friend. Not many people can argue with AJ, can they? I think we were saying this the other day. For Raw, top heel, top babyface, it is Drew and AJ, right?
It is, and AJ's that steady hand that you put in there when you want someone to just have a really good match. He's their reliable guy. So I think if you built that would make sense for Mania.
I think AJ is the kind of guy you could literally plug into virtually any program, and it's going to be pretty good, no matter what.
And you can put him in with any opponent, and it's going to be pretty good. We've seen him take on Shane McMahon at Mania.
That was good. I was there for that. That was good.
And everyone was like, AJ deserves better, and he probably did, but he was put in there because he was the guy that could deliver a match with Shane McMahon, and he would have none of those problems with Drew. I think that'd be a pretty good match.
Yeah, if you can do it with Shane, I would say there's a good chance you can do it with Drew.
I would say absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny as well because Drew has said in the past that they have obviously been in the same promotions but at different times, so they've never actually met. So I know WWE kind of covets that luster of, never before. So I think that makes sense. But also to your first point in that Ultra Chat, absolutely the Sheamus story's got to happen. The Rumble's probably the perfect kind of bridge for that feud because it's interesting enough, but maybe, I've said this before, I wouldn't hate it to be at Mania, but it would be probably the perfect bridge at a show like Rumble to get you to the feud you really want to have Drew with at WrestleMania. I don't think you can lose on that one. The story's there. I
would say, okay, Sheamus would not be the opponent that I'd want for Drew at WrestleMania just because I don't really think Sheamus has it in him right now to deliver a great match. However, I like this Drew Sheamus storyline, and I actually would not be I wouldn't be annoyed at all if they kept this friendship going and the turn happened in the Rumble where though Drew is champion, if there was something going on where Drew made it into the Rumble and some kind of turn happened there, or if Sheamus even cost him his match at the Rumble or something, and then that led to them, having the match at Mania, I think that would work because their feud would probably be strong enough for a Mania match. I'm just not sure it would be a good Mania match, but they don't all have to be 5 stars.
No, absolutely. Like you said, and if the story's there, that's kind of, you know what I mean? I think that there's a lot to be said for that rather than just cold builds and just whatever. And I would say that's been a hallmark of Drew's reign thus far, is that he does have kind of backstories and history with everyone that he's come into contact with. And the Sheamus story, I wouldn't even hate it if they had a little tag run. I really wouldn't.
No, either. And I think it'd be a good dynamic because it would be a nice kind of heel and face dynamic tag team, where Sheamus can still be himself and Drew's he's my mate, he's one of my oldest mates, so I'm just going to accept him. And then
pretty much that one mate. Yeah, pretty much how this show is going to treat Louis. He's one of us, so it's okay. And I must say, Matthew says he forgot to add. I'll be taking a little break from sending, so sorry, but keep up the excellent work, guys. Matthew, I'm sure I speak for myself and Steph and all of the guys here when we say thank you very much. We do appreciate all of the Ultra Chats and your viewership, most importantly. Some more. We got CM Chris. Of course we have. CM Chris doesn't miss. That's a great little tagline for you.
Oh,
A great egg himself. Hello, Alex and Stephanie. Full name, I like that. AEW Dynamite was a lot of fun. Silver versus Hangman, Taz Cody promo, Top Flight, ICVSCU, yep, and Mox Omega signing to Jay Shida. He's just going through the whole card. Abaddon returned and Pac Phoenix Butcher Blade. Can't wait till next week. Now, Elite Good Eggs, much love. Hashtag storylines. Again, I mean, I'll let Steph take this one, but I was just before we come on air, I was telling Steph the bits I had seen, which is you pretty much listed them off there. I loved what I saw.
Yeah, me too. I loved Dynamite last night. It was a really fun show. That opener especially just got it off the right start. Like, John Silver is the man right now. I have been watching so many recent Being the Elites, like just binge watching loads of them. And this guy, and it feels like the TV crowd is finally translating to the non-Being the Elite fans, because not everyone watches that show, but now the people that don't are getting it. Like, he's so good, and I'm really enjoying this kind of storyline with Hangman, because now that Brody Lee's kind of disappeared, really, hasn't he? Yeah. It's like the Dark Order are kind of nicer. Like, they're friendly neighborhood cult, instead of like they're really
yeah.
And if you watch Being the Elite, like, they're just, trying to, like, they're doing such a lovely job of recruiting by just basically going up to people like Frankie Kazarian and telling them how good looking they are and asking if they want to join. And, it's a nice tactic. And this, like, Hangman, he's a little lost at the minute, maybe, but he wasn't drinking last night. So, and it just seems like there could be something really good, like, brewing with him and the Dark Order that I think would be very entertaining.
Yeah, I know we're going to get into the kind of the matches in a little bit, but when I saw John Silver, who I like very much, and Hangman Page, it was the same as when I saw Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne was coming up. I was like, well, these are going to be good. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just know this is going to be great. They can't miss. And yeah, so we agree with you, CM Chris, wholeheartedly. May, the hot Scot is here. Hey, Alex. Hey, Steph. Steph, did you enjoy Survivor Series? Alex, you were robbed last night. Yes, Matthew. Yes, I was. Also, the intro music for Wrestling Daily is a tune. Yeah, you know what?
It is a tune. It is. I like to have a little dance before we come on to get myself hyped up. It is a tune.
I do. I have a little bop. I'm like, yeah. Pete, old Peter, Q-Tip himself is responsible for that. So he sourced it. Give Pete all of your thanks. Alex is going to divorce Louis tomorrow. Talking about Quizlemania, Steph, what is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme songs? He asked that, Steph, because that was a question yesterday. Adam, the host, Blompier, he asked 100 different people what the greatest theme songs were in wrestling history, where me and Louis kind of failed spectacularly. We only got 3 out of the 7, but then no one else actually got one right, so we actually kept our points anyway. What would you say is your top 4? Okay,
just off the top of my head, I was under the impression that Mount Rushmore was 5, so you've just made it harder. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Shinsuke Nakamura's New Japan theme tune, which is my ringtone for a very long time.
He was on there, by the way.
Oh, right. That's good. Minoru Suzuki, Kazumina Ray. That is an incredible tune. I sing along to that. That's what I would do if I was doing my wrestling drag show, which I plan to do one day, where people have to lip sync to wrestling themes. I would take on Minoru Suzuki's theme. And also, that was 2. I'm going to say Jericho, Break the Walls Down.
Yes. I'm glad you said that.
Well, I have to say Jericho theme, and I'm not going to say Judas because of it. It's like legit song credentials. If I can only pick one Jericho one for theme, I'll say that. And for the last one, this is very hard, but I think I'm going to be classic. I've got his badge on. It is Shawn Michaels, Sexy Boy.
That also did make the list, Shawn Michaels. Matt, I think Cult of Personality was on there from CM Punk, which I had written down and decided not to go with. I foolishly, because it's so hard when you're answering these things, because you're trying to think what other people would say.
Yeah,
like what the internet. They're a difficult people. So I think I went with DX for one of mine, and it was like Undertaker was on there.
Great theme though, DX.
It is. Break it down. That's legendary.
Especially when they used to do it, like when they did that live at SummerSlam '98, and Triple H was trying to be a rock star, and he put like the singer up on his shoulders, and it just like didn't work. Brilliant. And then when they did it at WrestleMania, and then someone let them sing like the national anthem as well, it just went like a lead balloon.
Yeah,
brilliant song.
Yeah. So again, I was robbed. Who are these? Who are these people? So yeah, that was the super chat from Matty. Of course, Matty is the guy that had us doing the impressions the other week, Steph. So watch our backs.
I think I just missed answering if I liked Survivor Series. I did like Survivor Series, but I liked Drew and Roman a lot. Like it's right now, it's very hard for me to say anything anti-Roman Reigns because he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. He was amazing the nights before in SmackDown. I was watching that promo like, this guy, seriously. So yeah, Drew and Roman pretty much saved the show for me. I did like Asuka and Sasha as well, and I thought the Undertaker thing was a bit strange that they all came out and didn't say anything, but I thought the Paul Bearer bit was touching enough for me to call it a success.
That's what you just said of the Undertaker was almost my exact analysis. Like, yeah, we hit everyone's music. Anyway, here's the Undertaker. What?
It was a bit like I saw from all the photos online that they obviously had some kind of great party at the bar, which clearly should have been filmed. So it feels like, you invite all these people just to like take a walk. Take a walk and don't say anything. But I guess they got to party afterwards, so good for them.
Yeah, for them, like I'm assuming they got a payday just to have their music hit and walk down to the ring and have a free bar backstage. Like what a day!
I'm sure the Godwins were loving it. They were loving that opportunity to just go overalls again.
I thoroughly enjoyed Triple H embracing Henry Godwin. That was tremendous. Michael Rivera Morales, welcome, Michael. Hello, Alex and Steph. I always watch the shows on delay because of work. My question is, which do you think has more potential to be an alternative to WWE AEW with TNA's 2006 to 2014? Or, God, this is a convoluted question. Or TNA with the same roster, but AEW booking? Keep up the good work.
Well, you know what? TNA never had a problem with their roster, but they did have a problem with their booking. I think that's the story of TNA. So there you go. Keep the roster, change the booking.
I mean, it's funny if you actually replace Dixie Carter with Tony Khan. It's hard to say because of time periods and things like that. Yeah. But their roster, I mean, there was no problem. WWE inherited half of it, and they've made bloody good success out of it. And then the rest of them are probably floating around. Well, Impact now and AEW. So the talent was never ever the issue with TNA.
TNA suffered so much from taking in WWE guys that they should never have touched, like Hulk Hogan, and not giving enough to the guys that actually built the company, like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, two guys that now WWE have done so much with. So it was never a talent problem; it was a booking problem. Tony Khan looks like he's not going to make that mistake. So yeah,
I think it's interesting as well because you look at. They took it to the extreme in the end, TNA. Like I think in the mid 2000s when they were like picking up like Brodus Clay, anyone who came out of WWE, they were like, well, we'll pick them up, and it was just like, come on. I do think they've got much more astute under the ownership that they are with these days. Scott D'Amore, Don Callis, that much better. But you look at TNA in that period between 2005 and 2010, man, that was a great show, it really was. And I think there's some remnants there as well. Like you said, the underappreciated kind of originals and the stalwarts. WCW kind of made those mistakes too, but with the stalwarts being the cruiserweights and Jericho, Benoit, Guerrero, and look, they paid the price as well. So for my money at the moment, I know this is going to sound really strong, but Tony Khan is probably the best. I'm going to say booker. He's running it the way that I most admire, I would say. I think he's doing a really good job of balancing it.
Tony Khan is absolutely Booker of the Year. And, usually it is Gato for good reasons, but Gato's kind of maybe slightly fallen off a cliff right now. But Tony Khan is he's doing a great job. And I think he's, I've said this before, like Tony Khan is the fan that got to do all of our dreams, and he's doing us proud.
Yeah, he really is. Also, Jobber JJ, especially Scott Steiner on the microphone. Listen, Scott Steiner is banned on this show until Louis can answer for his sins on Quizzlemania. Okay? I refuse to talk about Scott Steiner. Let's actually get into because we do have another one as well, which I will come back to in the Ultra Chats, and we really do appreciate them. Steph is exactly the girl you want for the Ultra Chats, but also for Wednesday Night Talk. So we better actually get her thoughts before the show runs away with it. Steph, let's get into Dynamite. I know we briefly kind of skated over it with that Ultra Chat, but
yes.
yeah. But kicking, off with Silver and Hangman, just run me through the key moments on the card. Because as I said to you, seeing a Taz mission in 2020 was great for me, and I loved the start, and I thought it ended great too.
Yeah, the start, I've probably said enough about that. Great match, great hot start to the show. Then we had this Cody and Taz confrontation after Powerhouse Hobbs, as he's now known. That was okay. It was kind of interesting because they did the thing where they acknowledge Cody for his backstage role, which I'm not sure makes sense. And I was watching this with my friend. We were saying, does it really make sense to acknowledge that about Cody? Because it's fine to acknowledge about Tony Khan, then you're getting into stuff. But as far as like the actual segment between them was really good. Seeing Taz is amazing. He's a guy that's
good.
Like he had some bad moments in TNA, but I think that was just a lack of passion for it, and you can tell how passionate he is about AEW. And he brought his son out after he did that Taz mission. We saw his son Hook, which what a name. So I know. Another son called Captain.
Seriously, if that was WWE, people would be going, what the hell is that?
But I think he's legit called Hook, so what can you do?
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, that was really good. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what they're setting up as far as between Cody and Taz, because we have the Cody Shaq direction, so maybe this is a bit like when we thought we were getting Jericho Tyson, but then he had to do other stuff as well, just in case like that doesn't happen. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but there's at least storylines. Omega and Moxley had their contract signing. Moxley, he asked Eddie Kingston if he attacked him. Eddie Kingston said no. Moxley believed him. So they still have that good little relationship going on.
I like that they've got that kind of that weird respect. I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Omega, he did a promo in a suit where he basically said that all he heard like the past year was people talking about Moxley. What is the face for? Omega.
Like, that's just the collective internet face when it's like he even says the word cleaner. Everyone's like, the cleaner's back.
He kind of said it in a clever way, because he said, that he has been hearing about Moxley, but now he's hearing like the cleaner is back, the best part machine's back. So, and then he said that his dad could beat up Moxley's dad after Moxley's promo. But Moxley attacked him. So, but we still don't know who attacks Moxley. I don't actually think it's going to be Kenny. I really don't. No, I'm not going to say that I think it's Kenta. I want to believe it's Kenta, but I think that it's like so obviously Kenta that they want you to say it can't be Kenta, but it is actually Kenta. But I also think it might be a situation like we were talking about with Shaq and Mike Tyson, that they're leaving it ambiguous until they know themselves who actually attacked John Moxley.
Yeah. Could be. I'd like it if like it was a Hangman Page or something, like just to keep him in that sphere of the story. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think they're kind of giving themselves an open. And it must be something though that they're going to pay off or hope to pay off in the near future, because they're kind of referencing it week to week, as you would. And as we know, the window, if Moxley is going to do something, you know.
Well, you remember the other week when I was saying that I couldn't decide whether or not Renee Young was a woman that would want Christmas at home? Well, now that I know that she's pregnant, I feel less like she's going to go to Japan and he's going to go to Japan. So I feel like it's going to have to be Kenta wrestling in America, which will be Tony Khan making... well, it wouldn't really be Tony Khan making a concession because I think it would be really big for Dynamite. I don't know. They're going to have to work that out because something has to happen with Kenta and that briefcase. Like, this has been going on way too long now. So yeah, I am hoping it's Kenta though. But I feel I
do believe Khan could work that out.
Yeah, and I think we'll find out next week. We also had a women's title match, Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay. I thought Anna Jay looked fantastic. She's really great, and her work on Being the Elite is wonderful. Like, if you feel like she hasn't shown enough personality in the show, if you watch Being the Elite, she has a very, very good personality. But then we saw the return of Abaddon, who is a very different addition to the women's division. Okay, when she came out, I thought she was very Impact. She looked like about 3 different characters they have an Impact at the minute. But it's something interesting, and people keep saying that they're not building up women's storylines. So if you have an actual character like Abaddon in there, maybe something can happen. And we also had the Inner Circle taking on SCU, Jericho and Christopher Daniels in the ring for the first time ever, despite them both having 30-year careers, which is crazy. Yeah. That was a really good match, and in the end, Frankie Kazarian took out MJF, and the Inner Circle kind of rallied around him. So Jericho has challenged Kazarian for next week.
I like that. I like it. And we haven't touched on the main event, right? With Pac and Phoenix, which to me on paper is like, oh my God, like a hardcore wrestling overload. Just the enjoyment factor of them two being together. But the night did not end amazingly well for our my British friend. Well, actually, we were born in Belfast. You're British.
You're a British friend, Alex.
Yeah, okay. I tried. So yeah.
But Pac is just my friend, I guess. That's
allowed.
This is a really, really good match, but I'm surprised at how much of a beating Pac took, really. But Eddie Kingston was on commentary again, which is always a delight. But it was strange because we have all the Pac stuff. It's been kind of built up. They've made a big deal about it. They've given it the main event spot. And then it all kind of ends with Lance Archer running in. So, yeah. But isn't Lance Archer just the guy in AEW that just either runs in or attacks people backstage? He's like the guy that's like working off his own script. So he can literally just plot himself into anything.
Yeah. To be fair, Lance Archer thus far in AEW, and I like him. Like, my first real exposure to him was the Japan run the year prior to signing, where he'd worked the D1 and then Moxley and all of that great stuff. Mm-hmm. And he kind of does really great. And then obviously when he has the big match, he tends to lose. That's basically where we're at right now with Lance. But you're right. I kind of like it when stories are intertwined, but the way that happened last night, and then it was just kind of a bit like, oh, well, okay, what does that mean for Pac and what's going on in that direction? But I guess that's cool because moving forward, it gives you more avenues to go down, and why not?
Yeah, and we've got so much for next week. It's going to be such a big show. Omega and Moxley for the title. We have Jericho and Kazarian and a battle royal.
Omega and Moxley just feel so quick. Like, and I know that it's been like 3 weeks since the pay-per-view or whatever. But do you think Omega takes it?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Ooh.
I do. I think we're having a big title change on TV. I think Omega takes it, but he doesn't take it clean. I think somebody takes out Moxley, either the aforementioned Kenta or Hangman Page in a please be my friend. Again, I'm doing this for you way.
Yeah, actually, that's very intriguing. And I suppose, in a weird poetic way, Hangman would want to beat Omega for the title too. Like that'd be the guy he wants to. I don't know. Who knows? We're getting ahead of ourselves. But we're at the half an hour mark here. I think we can all agree Dynamite once again put on a great show.
Absolutely, it was a great show.
Right, let's get to the first hot take of the evening, and it is from Tyler Woodward. So let's see what our good friend Tyler, who is a real good egg, who tunes in every week. Let's see what Tyler's got to say.
Hi Louis, hi Alex, hi Stephanie, hi XB3. Hot take for you guys. I think Paul Heyman completely missed the ball. I can't remember when it was. When he was in charge, when he was executive producer of making the SmackDown, making a new version of SmackDown 6, because we could have had the likes of Ray, who was in the original SmackDown 6. We could have had Rollins. We could have had Dominic. Maybe we could have had Andrade. We could have had Raw be centered around all those people. We could have Aleister Black. We could have all those people. Have the whole show surrounded around by those people in decent storylines. We could have had amazing tag matches like we have back in SmackDown when Paul Heyman was in charge. But yeah, I'd like to get your thoughts on it and who would be currently your SmackDown 6 and your Raw 6. Cheers, guys.
Ooh, I like it that he said hello to all of us. Nobody was left out. That's a question. I mean, for me, go on. If you got something to say.
Well, I was going to say that I don't think that this was Paul Heyman. I think Paul Heyman was handicapped from doing this, and I think that his period in charge, especially at the beginning, was the first time in a long time where young guys had been focused on. Aleister Black being one of them, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo. Like, I think he really tried and he wasn't able to. And I think as far as creating a SmackDown 6, that's something that just happened really organically as well. But I think that what happened then was that Paul Heyman, because he was in charge of SmackDown, because of the period, he was basically being ignored / left to his own devices, and he was able to build this great show with great wrestling that became the legendary SmackDown 6. And I think he would have loved to have done that in Raw, but I just don't think 2020 Vince McMahon is going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, what's worth noting is that everyone you mentioned who should have been in your Raw SmackDown 6, Heyman used a lot.
Yeah.
All of them. Like Aleister Black had a really good push under him. And, Rollins, of course, was, and you said Rey Mysterio, Rollins and Dominic, well, they worked together basically the whole year, nearly. And I can't remember who the other person that you mentioned in that mix was. Can you remember? Aleister Black, Andrade. Yeah, I mean, Andrade, of course, was plugged into that tag title picture with Garza forever. But he, of course, is a tremendous worker. I mean, it's one of them. Like, I hear what you're saying in terms of the tag division, but you got to remember the landscape's totally different. Like SmackDown had at that time in 2002, they could afford to have like Kurt Angle, Benoit, Edge, Rey Mysterio, like not even in their world title picture. That was like just talent they had on the roster. They had like a Brock Lesnar, they had Undertaker, they had like ridiculous amounts of people at the top of the card that Raw didn't really have during Heyman's reign. And as Steph said, I'm convinced he tried his absolute hardest, especially all the talent I've spoke to on and off the record. Heyman is, loads of them credit Heyman for trying to help them and move them forward and giving them confidence. So I do take your point. Like, we'd all love a special era like that again, but I think Stephanie's absolutely right. It's not something you can go, right, you know what, we're going to have a Raw 6 and we're going to have these 6 and they're going to work together loads and just good stuff's going to happen. Because as great as the talent will be, it's a different era now. On Twitter, people will be going, God, they're working together again. Like, it'd be never ending. I think
it's just not as hot a product anymore.
No.
As well. But I think, and I could be remembering this wrong, that it was the first Raw after we knew that Heyman had taken over, and he put Umberto Carrillo on it. And I just remember thinking, like, whoa, is this a revolution? And it felt like it for a couple of weeks, but then it did start watering down a bit, and we see the same people. And honestly, like I would cut Rollins as someone that I've seen way too much of. I wouldn't like build Raw. He to me is someone that if I'd ever see Rollins wrestle another match, I'll be totally fine with that. I would rather.
Whoa, that is the hottest take I've ever heard. You would be Jesus. Fan me down. I'm hot. Jesus. Yeah.
No, Seth Rollins.
Essentially, you want Rollins to retire. Wow.
Okay, not with. Well, maybe, but like take a little break, because there has been a Seth Rollins overload, especially with this Messiah character. His matches are fine. His acting ability is like worse than B-movie, and it's grating. But he is on a break, isn't he? So maybe he'll come back refreshed.
Do you honestly think his matches are just fine? You don't enjoy him that much?
No.
Wow. No. I really rate him. I really enjoy watching Seth Rollins in the ring. I don't know how to, I think, and I made this case the other day, I think I actually preferred him work-wise as like Burn It Down Rollins when he was, on fire with the IC title and stuff. And because I said this around Survivor Series when he took, he did the kneel down thing and he took a break, and I was like, when he comes back, are people wanting more Messiah, or are they wanting him to return to babyface? So I think it'll be interesting when fans are back, because I don't think fans will want to boo him again now, because he's done. I know you're going to disagree with this. I felt like he's done some decent work this year. Like it's not his fault that he got put in a gouge your eye out match. I can't imagine he lobbied for it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess
it's the most shocking thing to ever happen on Wrestling Daily.
I know. I want to clip this out. Steph says Seth Rollins should just call it a damn day. Jesus. All right, let's get into NXT before I let my Seth Rollins nerves get all jangled. Listen, I thought great show, really did. I still think in terms of like narrative, maybe they're a bit behind AEW in terms of like energy and stuff like that. But I do think for the first time in a while, the NXT had a lot going for it when you factor in, the main event, a ladder match between Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne. I think I'm going to say the same as I did last week. I think NXT had the best match and AEW had the best show, because I think it's very hard to argue against that ladder match, Steph.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Oh, it is the same. NXT had the best match. That was a great match to just give away on an NXT to lead you to an even bigger stipulation match with War Games. I think the only negative to that match was no Pat McAfee, unless that was him under the mask. But why would you?
Or wasn't there?
Well, we didn't see his face, so I don't count that on my Pat McAfee chart. Where I note down all the times I got treated to Pat McAfee. So
did they lose a star in your book just because he wasn't there, basically?
Yeah, but the man deserves a good Thanksgiving with his family. Of course he does. But yeah, really, really great main event. Really good.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I'm laughing because I know what I'm going to ask you next, and I've seen Mayor of Painesville Dan in the chat today. Dexter Lumis appeared, Steph, and he and Cameron Grimes are set for, wait for it, a strap match.
Okay, let's talk about
Oh no.
Actually, burying the lead, Jake Atlas. I have never felt so sorry for someone watching NXT than Jake Atlas. Before they close up to him, I thought it was a jobber. I thought we were having a Cameron Grimes jobber squash match. And then it's like, oh, it's Jake Atlas, who then, like, he doesn't even get an entrance or anything. He's just turned into completely nothing, facing Cameron Grimes. But the whole story is about Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis. So per Jake Atlas, it's just an afterthought while these two Scooby-Doo villain rejects bring out the latest bit of bondage equipment for another match.
I haven't even checked the chat yet, but I'm going to assume Mayor of Painesville Dan is furious. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I don't love the Loomis character. I do think what's the best way I can describe this? The shell of the man has potential, right? Like there's something in there. I don't think he's a bad worker or anything like that. I just, I don't know if this is the right feud for him. Again, I haven't. My favorite point of Loomis was probably when he was getting under the Undisputed Era skin, but he hasn't really. That was maybe the point to then take him up a notch and do something with him, where he has just stayed this weird guy. And Cameron Grimes, I mean, he's charismatic. He's funny. That's about all I got for him.
I mean, a strap match. We've had a blindfold match, a strap match. What's next? A little feather duster match or something? These two are into the whole Ann Summers kit.
There aren't many great strap matches, are there? Like great ones. There's not many.
No.
Mayor of Painesville Dan's first rebuttal is, well, Scooby-Doo rejects. Scooby-Doo's actually great and entertaining as well.
Scooby-Doo is great and entertaining. That's why those two got rejected from it.
That's the
Duh.
Come to the Wrestling Daily for Scooby-Doo to be put over.
Scooby-Doo was like, I'm not letting those two idiots ruin my show.
Oh, poor Dexter. Elsewhere, grizzled young veterans, they're back. And I must say, I have missed Liverpool's number one on the microphone.
Yeah. I've missed Zach Gibson too. I'm glad to see him back. Nice and well dressed as well. And really good addition to the tag team division, which needs a little bit of an injection right now with Undisputed Era tied up and Lorcan and Birch tied up. So very good to see. Yeah,
I love them too. I've seen obviously a lot of their work in NXT UK and Progress before that. James Drake, if you're someone like us who have seen him, there might be some Americans watching who have only really caught what he's doing in NXT. That guy, he has got shredded, Steph, since joining WWE. He is like another level, and I think him and Gibson they'll be destined for the tag titles in NXT right now. Why wouldn't they? I know that they're on the hot faction, so but at the same time, I could see it happening. I know Triple H thinks the world of them, and particularly Zach Gibson. So, I expect to see big things there. It was a great surprise that I didn't see coming, and that's from wrestling's experts.
That either. It was really good, and great to see them back. Nice to see more guys from the UK escaping this country and going to nice Florida.
Yes, I can't blame them. Speaking of surprises, if you were surprised, Toni Storm had a heel turn. Obviously. Essentially feeding Ember Moon to the wolves, and yes, it looks now that at War Games the women's team is set. Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, Toni Storm, of course, and Candice LeRae obviously picked up the team, and Rhea Ripley looks like she's probably heading after that promo to join the team of Ember Moon.
The Rhea Ripley thing made me laugh because at the beginning of the show, firstly, Kevin Owens was great on commentary. Kevin Owens was he is one of the most natural performers in wrestling, and I just want more for Kevin Owens. I actually wish that he was just an AEW doing Eddie Kingston on the mic back and forth, because he's so not like. You talk about these, two idiots, Loomis and Grimes, and then you hear a guy like that, Kevin Owens, where you can actually believe that this is A, real, and B, for adults when he's talking. But anyway, shout out to Kevin Owens. But he said something at the beginning of the show that just made me laugh, where he was kind of like, I don't know what I'd do if I was Rhea Ripley, because kind of nowhere for her to go, is there? And it's like, yes, that is it. And then when she came out, she's just stuck. She's just someone that's outgrown NXT, and they don't know what to do for her, and thank God for War Games, they can inject her into that, but we'll see what her
when you actually think of like where she is or where she's been, like it was a year ago roughly that she beat Shayna for the title, and like not much has really gone right for her since. Like I know the Charlotte feud on paper, and that could have given her a rub if then afterwards she goes on to big things or whatever, but all it's really done is set her back a year. And of course, they can tell that story where eventually there's a redemption or whatever, but right now she's kind of just treading water. And I would have thought now was the perfect time for a call-up, honestly, with Rhea Ripley, because the promo didn't really make sense. It was like, I'm not going anywhere because I still want the titles. And then like Candice even came out and was like, well, hang on a minute, you literally just got beaten for it, so that makes no sense. And she's already had the title anyway, so come on.
If it was me, I'd be like, oh well, I'm moving on because I've already had it. I'd try and forget the bit where I was beaten for it. My only hope for this storyline is that it is all a massive storyline that's meant to represent 2020 Rhea Ripley's career and the hardships that we've all faced this year, because think of like what happened to her at WrestleMania and all that. I hope it's all like a big just like metaphor for what 2020 is, and then once this virus is all settled, then Rhea Ripley rises to the top and she can be happy.
And you have to remember as well, and this is what I try and remember, she is like 23, 24, so like there's plenty of time to like develop her character and give her a story and for her to rise. She is super young compared to the vast majority of people in the division at the moment. So she has time. And just on Kevin Owens, I thought he did a great job with Leon Ruff. And
yes, he did.
And obviously I found it so funny the way he was like, I know how this goes. And then like, oh, maybe not. But then, all the jokes that he was doing, running the show and stuff. He added so much in that role.
Yeah. No, he really did. Even his little like, do you want the chair? I don't know why I bring these out. Like, he was so good. And he does bring a kind of realism, because even if he's doing comedy lines, his delivery is so great. I think he actually added a lot to their segment, because I think without him, it could have gone a bit silly or something. But he really grounded it in a good way and brought some kind of authenticity to it. I
know you weren't a huge fan of the way Leon Ruff won the title in the first place, but do you think the last 2 weeks have helped him though?
I do. I think that they have helped him. I think I'm more optimistic now that this is an actual build of a superstar rather than just an angle that's actually meant for Gargano or Priest to get over. I feel more strongly that hopefully if and when he loses the title, they won't just drop him cold.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I spoke to him on Tuesday, I think, and he was saying that Triple H was the guy who came up with that belt spot that that was meant to be jokey or whatever. Triple H is the one who came to him and said, this is the story we got for you. It's real. It's happening. That in my mind, whether good or bad, the fact that Triple H is that hands-on and being like, I want you in this spot is good for him. Yeah. And at the end of the day, he's got a takeover match out of it with Gargano and Priest, which when I think about that in my head, that could be really amazing. Like just the way, but like Priest is an amazing base for people and stuff anyway, and like amazing mover around the ring. Add in Ruff, who is really crisp and technical, and then you've got Gargano, who is Gargano. I mean, it's all there for Leon Ruff. Basically, it's like the best recipe they could have given him on a takeover.
It's like he's such a lovely, like I spoke to him too. He's such a lovely guy. He's going to be such a great baby face for fans to get behind, especially kids as well. I think really will be really drawn to him. And I said to him about how his story is kind of like the 1, 2, 3 kid story, and think of everything that led to for the man that became X-Pac, and that kind of just great underdog story can really work, and he can go really far with it.
Leon Ruff might want to make better life choices, but career-wise, sure.
Career-wise, yes.
Sure. Yeah, and I love Sean Waltman, Xbox, so please don't hate me. Moving forward, I guess, like I said, the only other thing really, and we kind of touched it with the beginning of the show with the Tony turn, but Ember Moon and Candice LeRae were having a banger, I felt, before it was cut short with the story stuff. I mean, you could say the interferences and all that stuff, but still the chemistry between them two is really good.
Yeah, it is really good. They were having a really good match. It's no secret that the NXT women's division is is the top women's division. And
open the show. Very
yeah,
strong.
Yeah, and even though the match was cut short and it's a great match, but at the same time, like they are building such a story that I say like allow, because it feels like every woman in NXT has a story right now, you know, putting them into these War Games factions. So I thought it was great. It was another good night for the women of NXT.
Yeah, so I mean, there we go. There we have it again. But I mean, I'd say pretty much the same as last week, where NXT had their main event was the best match. AEW was probably the best overall show. But for me, in terms of quality, we were the same as last week, but NXT has gone up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Right, let's get to, there's only 9 minutes left. What?
So
if you want your Ultra Chats in, we've got 3 in the chamber for Steph, but if you want to get some more in, please do now. We're on the home straight. And if you want Steph to burn you down like your name's Seth Rollins, then please get in touch. We do have a video one that I will get to from Chris G, Johnson Jabroni Chief SB3 affiliate. We're going to give that video a go first before we get to the other Ultra Chats.
Chris G, back with another hot take, aka heated take, as we like to say here on True Heel Heat. But my hot take for today is the Undertaker's final farewell. Not only was it dragging, felt a little too long, kind of emotionless. I think it should have went on before the WrestleMania caliber main event that we had between Drew and Roman. And I shed more tears on the last episode of The Last Ride. Sorry, Tig.
His delivery, emotionless. The way he says it. Steph, what's your take on that? Because we kind of touched on it earlier, but do you think it should have gone on before?
No, because I don't think that I think that kind of would bring down the main event, because was it emotionless? Yes, until the Paul Bearer thing. It was a very strange way to do it. Like, just a lot of guys, and you know, if someone had just said something other than Vince, you know, we would have maybe known how to feel. But but the Paul Bearer thing was like a nice emotional touch. But I think putting it on before the match, no, I don't think you can do that. I don't think it would have worked, especially because it's the Undertaker. Like, it's this whole big pageantry thing. And then for that to end, you know, I can just imagine the Undertaker and the Paul Bearer graphic coming up, and then Michael Cole having to do his, well, that was the farewell of the Undertaker. Next up, we have Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, and it would just really not feel right, would it?
Yeah, I mean, champion versus champion as well. Like, if there was like a big title match, it would be weirder to then have that and the big celebration. It's actually come down now because it's Undertaker. So I think I get what he's saying, but I agree that Undertaker has to go last on this occasion. You have to think there's not going to be many like this where it's the symbolism on the exact same date, the same event, 30 years, all of that stuff. You know, I can get behind it. As far as the rest of what he said, we already said it at the beginning of the show. There was parts, like, don't get me wrong, WWE's video packages are amazing, obviously. And Vince getting emotional introducing him was cool to me, and the Paul Bearer bit was cool to me. Everything else that happened, I was a bit like, okay. Like, you know, the piped in take a chance and he's having to stand there and wait for them. Like, I was a bit like,
yeah,
this is weird. But also it'd be even weird. You know, it might have even been better if it was like silence. In a weird, perverse Undertaker way. I don't know. Like, I think he has a point in the way it was delivered, but at the same time, these are difficult times to put on such a thing.
Yeah, I don't think anything, video packages or anything, hit the emotion that WWE India advertisement from a couple months ago for the Undertaker did, where it was showing the boy growing up. Like, I think that was amazing. If they'd played that, I would have cried again.
You know what? I've just seen it in the comments. 2 Title Tempest is here. The champ from last night with Randy Datson. When are we going to get Stephanie on Quizzlemania? This is a good question, Steph. Are you lobbying to pit your wits on Quizzlemania?
I don't like to lobby. I like people to come to me because
I know.
The queen. So if someone wants to ask me on Quizzlemania, I would absolutely consider it.
Well, if I'd had a choice, Louis
It's
might
really
have-
hard. It's awful, these contract obligations that we have to talk to Louis. They just really gonna get in the way, don't they?
Yeah. Stephanie fears Tempest. I don't know, Uptown Avondale. I don't know. I mean, she probably should because he's extremely knowledgeable. But other than that, I think she's game. I don't think she's worried.
I don't feel any kind of heat.
Yeah, well, this is it. And also, look, Tempest is playing friends. He knows. Stephanie over Nougat, he says. So there you have it. Listen, everyone's booking it now. Everyone wants Steph versus Tempest. I think Tempest is trying to recruit her, which I'm slightly offended. Get your own Tempest. Just because my Andy Datson is more aesthetically pleasing. Don't get mad. All right, don't get mad. Let's get into the remaining Ultra Chats. TJ Adam says, "Evening, Alex and Steph. Evening, TJ.
Hey, evening.
Hope both of you are well. I tweeted yourself and Louis, Alex, regarding a pay-per-view rework. I know I got a like from you. There you go. I'm a generous guy, but didn't see if you discussed it. Maybe Steph has any views. Much love. #unlucky last night, Alex. I was unlucky. I really was. Steph, what do you think? I think we've had this discussion before. I'm not sure with you, but we've had it on Wrestling Daily, where these pay-per-views and their gimmick pay-per-views, people argue that maybe I certainly argue, they detract from the organic nature of the feuds, and it hinders WWE in the way they book things.
Oh, absolutely. I'd get rid of gimmick pay-per-views. They're really silly, TLC, Hell in a Cell, whatever. It's totally taken away from the draw that these matches are. And you are just you're doing things for no reason. And if you look at War Games, it's good booking, but it kind of actually feels organic in a way that the main roster, strangely it does, but in the way that they just can't replicate in the main roster. So I'd absolutely do away with TLC, Hell in a Cell, and whatever, and then whatever is the biggest blood feud of the year, I'd put in the Cell rather than just one because it happens to fall in that month.
Yeah, just give me Great Balls of Fire, and if that has a ladder match or a Hell in a Cell, then great. You know what I mean? Don't handcuff yourself where you say. And I also preferred it when they had the Money in the Bank ladder matches at WrestleMania.
Oh, me too, because it was just like a really, you were always guaranteed that fun, high flying match, and it was a great way to, Money in the Bank being Jericho's original idea, it was created because they had these great superstars who didn't actually have a program for WrestleMania. And I think doing the Money in the Bank back at WrestleMania again would be so much better than just finding less fulfilling ways to squeeze all these guys onto the card.
I guess the only problem is now is that you'd have two. Because you got the women as well, which obviously wasn't the case back then. But then the pre-show becomes infinitely more interesting.
Yeah.
If there's one of the Money in the Bank ladder matches on there.
I don't think we're ever going to complain with two great Money in the Bank ladder matches on one pay-per-view. So yeah.
It's a good argument to make. It is. Or you have them at different points in the year. Because at the moment, it just seems like both the briefcases get done away with so quickly, or in the last couple of years, at least one of them has been gone.
Yeah. Have one at SummerSlam.
Exactly. That's the answer. Steph says so. Uptown Avondale. Hey, man. Big fan.
Hey.
Big fan of your good Agnes. Watching Anna J. Sheila last night showed how much work they're doing to improve in-ring work, especially for Anna and Penelope. I think AEW still have a long way to go too, but they deserve some credit for the development of young talent. They absolutely deserve some development. It's some credit. It's I don't think it goes back to what we said earlier about talent's not really the problem. And it's not that AEW aren't giving them chances, be it Dark or Dynamite. We're seeing skill. I've said this before. I thought Penelope Ford killed it when she was in there with Shida on pay-per-view. And yeah, the more time that these girls get, the better. I think that's just the argument that there is, though. They need more time and the stories. That's because it feels like Tony Khan's got everything mapped out when it comes to Inner Circle, Omega Page, and all of these great stories. But for the women's division, do we think there's the same long-term plan? I would argue there isn't. And to a degree, that they've been handcuffed this year, admittedly. They really have. There's a lot of great women that they've lost out on, be it injury, travel, whatever. But I honestly do think they've listened and are trying now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they are listening. I think they're trying. I think Abaddon turning up last night was a good sign. And I think Anna Jay is going to take a bigger role in the women's division. But also, people forget how much they have done with Britt Baker this whole time. They did so much with her when she was injured even, that it might feel like she's like the favorite in a way, like she's the one that's always getting something. But at least there is, once that she starts plugging into feuds again, and once she goes after Karashida, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. That is, to be fair, for the women of AEW, that's probably the biggest match they've got up their sleeve is Shida and Britt Baker. So thank you, Upton Avondale. I like your observation. We've got two more going on here. Jobber JJ. I mean, if there ever was a good egg, you're in that top echelon as well, my friend. Hello, Alex and Stephanie. Clearly, Nugget hasn't had a math lesson with the big bad booty daddy. Always a freak. Give me 2 hours of Taz and Eddie Kingston on the mic, and Omega wins next week via Bullet Club. First of all, yes, Louis let me down with Scott Steiner. We've addressed this, but you've made your money, so I will let you talk about Scott Steiner. For Steph, who doesn't realize, right, you had to do, it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so let's say you're blindfold, and then I have to say things like, so for instance, if it was Jericho, I'd go, Le Champion. And I'm not allowed to say his name.
Yeah, but
and then you have to guess the name, right? So I said for Scott Steiner, I was like, my freaks and my peaks. Oh, the big bad booty daddy. And he didn't get it. What
did he say?
He just went, and it just ran out. I'm still stunned. On, like, how he couldn't have got that. But as you say, maybe. Yeah. He should be banned just for that. It should be some sort of punishment. Anyone watching this right now in the comments, think of a punishment for Nugget.
If anyone in the comments knows Scott Steiner, maybe he could deliver the punishment to Louis in person, because that'd be pretty good.
God damn it. That's something you don't want. God damn. Biceps give you nightmares. And so, yeah, what was the other thing you said about? I got carried away with Scott Steiner. Taz and Eddie Kingston on the mic. Yes, amazing. And Omega to win next week, Bullet Club. Steph?
Kenta. I don't expect Jay White, but Kenta. Kenta.
Yeah, Kenta is the way we're going there. Matty is going to finish us off tonight. Steph's hot take was hot. You're telling me I'm still burning. I mean, I don't know. He gets into it here. But Louis' hot take about Dustin and Cody was hotter, in my opinion. Hang on a minute. If we're talking about Seth Rollins never wrestling again over Dustin and Cody wasn't a 5-star match. Come on.
That's the hot take. That was a silly hot. That wasn't a hot take.
Yeah, it was hot because it wasn't I mean, my God. I don't want to just bash Louis on this stream. He's part of the Wrestling Daily family, but I am kind of upset with him. Whatever, we're not even finished yet, in my opinion. Scooby-Doo Rejects. Honestly, Steph, you are hilarious. Oh, look at Steph. She loves that. I'm buzzing for War Games. It's my favorite NXT pay-per-view. Yeah, Matty. I mean, first of all, Steph, do you want to address being hilarious?
I think I'm pretty hilarious, but it's just nice to be appreciated for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dexter Loomis doesn't think I'm hilarious. He thinks I'm not funny at all.
Yeah, Dexter Loomis, Seth Rollins, and Mayor of Painesville Dan do not think. No. It's funny. For me, War Games is, yeah, it probably is. Like Steph just said, even though they all of a sudden form 4-people teams like 3 or 4 weeks before it, for some reason I always am down for it. And like last year as well, Kevin Owens, his comeback was amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm always down for War Games. I mean, I've said this before. To me, like AEW pay-per-views and takeovers are like the probably the best consistently in the world. And I've said that historically speaking, obviously they've got years on AEW at the moment. I think takeovers are just great shows. Nobody can say that they're not great shows. So yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to War Games. And I still can't believe you thought Cody and Dustin was a hotter take than Seth Rollins retiring. I'm saying this out loud. I mean, damn, Jesus wept. Anyway, listen, guys, Louis is going to be back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. If you do think of something for me to cast down on my son, Louis Dangoor, some kind of punishment, or some kind of trial and tribulation we can bestow upon Louis, please do let me know. Until then, I will say a big thanks to Steph Chase, who once again was wonderful with her hot takes here on the Wrestling Daily. The hilarious Stephanie Chase. That's what I should have addressed you as. I'm so sorry. To anybody else who's watching there, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate your Ultra Chats. You guys have been great. As again, you will always find Steph here, 8 p.m. on Thursdays. She will always be in the house ready to eviscerate. So until then, you can catch us on podcasts. Make sure you turn your notifications on and you subscribe to Wrestle 2 and catch Wrestling Daily tomorrow at 8 p.m. Thank you for watching.